Okay, as you saw by the title of today's video, when you make that connection or balance between your self and your divine self, your inner self, more responsibility will be given to you in everyday life. A more responsibility to help others in your community. I'll read you something I wrote. I wrote this a few years ago now. It's just a short, really mystic poem. That's what I call him. And it says, find the mystic balance between your feminine intuition's guidance and action in everyday life, and more responsibility of being of service to helping people, and our hurting world will be given to you. Yeah? What does that mean? I'll give you a few examples, famous stories really, and one is the Buddha, Prince Siddhartha. Yeah? So after the Buddha had his vision, enlightenment under the Bodhi tree, he was sitting under there. He came back from his vision. He came back from what he experienced mystically, from his mystic union with the divine and the message that he got there, the realization of his eternal part, of his eternal divine part, and that the interconnectedness of everything, the oneness of everything. And he was sitting there, he was pacing actually, back and forth under the tree. And he thought, this can't be communicated to people. No one will understand. And really no one does to this day, really. They just quote the sutras, they quote this and the other. It's really got very little to do with what Buddha was trying to teach, is to teach others to have the ability to have the same mystic experience of the mystic union with your inner self, with your divine part. So he's pacing up and down. As the story goes, I think 7 days he was pacing like this. And he goes, no, I can't communicate this. I can't go back with this to my, to people. No one will understand me. And the gods came and said to Buddha, you have to do this. There's nobody else that can do this. It is only you have experienced this. You have the experience. You know what it's like. You know how to do it because you have, been through it yourself. So go and help others. Very, very reluctantly, he did. And of course, as the story goes, I don't know whether the Buddha actually helped anyone to have his own experiences like the Buddha did. In one of the famous sermons where his followers came and sat in a circle, and Buddha was going to give a sermon, a talk, like I'm giving to you now. And he, instead of saying anything, he just took and lifted a flower. Only one of his disciples understood what he meant by that action and just nodded his head. The others stared at the Buddha, wide-eyed and confused, and he had to give him a talk. So the meaning, you can interpret the there's lots of interpretations. People interpret the rising of the flower in many different ways. But the way I see it is that, what you're looking for, instead of me giving you a talk, look at the flower. The flower doesn't need talks. It just grows from itself. And that was Buddha's message, the whole message. Look into yourself, and the guidance is right there. There's consciousness, there's intelligence there within you. It will tell you what to do. Like it tells the flower how to grow. It will tell you how to grow as well. So that was the Buddha story. Yeah. Another example of this. Being of service to others, helping others to understand, after having your own experience, especially having your own mystic union with the divine, it is actually the inner self, the divine, that gives you the instructions. You see? It's like with the story of the Buddha. It was the gods, that is, his inner self was telling him, you have to help the humanity to grow, help them understand what's going on, how to do it. It was from within himself. So the message in my poetry is exactly the same. You know, if you find that balance, if you find the inner self, go and help others to do the same. That's how you heal. You don't heal by, you know, reading about gurus and famous writers or poets or psychiatrists achieving this and somehow you're healed. You have to do it yourself. You have to have at least some experiences that show you that there's something within you that is just as important as your ego self, as your everyday personality. I am this, I live in this city, my address is so-and-so, my phone number is so-and-so, my nationality is so-and-so, etc., etc., etc. That there's something within you that is actually just as important as your personality, and it wants to communicate with you. And once you create this communication, once you create this union, mystic union, it's called the mystic union, mystic wedding, with your inner self, with the divine part, then the divine part will show you how to help others. I know this from my own experiences. When you get this confidence, you get the guidance of what to do. I couldn't have written my books that I wrote without the help from inner self. Once you start, the hardest thing to do, I tell you, is to start. Simply start with the books. For instance, I just started writing. I sat down and said, all right, I'm going to write this, especially with the second book, Where We Dream the Single Dream. The first one is a compilation of my poetry. There's no page numbers or anything. It's just you open a page and you read. You see? What I wanted to do is what the intuition was telling me to do, which is my inner self, is say just create a book without page numbers. So you don't read from cover to cover. Just wherever you open, it's meaningful. See, that's how you activate your intuition. Then you read, and between the lines, there might be a message for you. So that was the first book. It was just really easy writing a book or putting a book together, because I did it all myself. The cover design, writing the manuscript and all this. It's not easy as in easy, but you still have to sit and do it for hours, for days, and so on. Then I self-published on Amazon, which is takes time as well. But you get help from within you. You're not alone in any of this. Not alone. So the second book was exactly the same. I sat and just started writing, and the idea came to me intuitively. Just write from your own experience. Don't worry about so much, examples or writing about others, but your own experience, so that people have some reference or relate to it. I'm not anyone special. I'm just like you, but I just pay attention to these things, to these coincidences, intuitive revelations, to art. When I painted art, it just felt like this was the right thing to do intuitively. So I painted it. And there was a message. I didn't understand the message straight away. You don't, especially when it's something deeper, like, you see the feminine in the center of the universe. She's the center. At the core of the inner self, at the core of your center, within your most inner center, is the feminine, and that's intuition, So when I was writing the second book, it was exactly the same. Just use your own examples. That was the message. I'm not a person that likes to talk about myself. I'm very private. So to write a book about my own life, really, how it all happened, the coincidences, the dreams and the visions and the art and the poetry, is not easy for me. But that's how it came through. That was the message from my inner self. That's how it said, this is how you can be of help to community, to help others how to do it. And that was the purpose of my books. That's the purpose of my video to you right now. It's simply how to do it. Don't be afraid. And when you start to have this connection with your inner self, with your divine part, more responsibility will come to you. Don't be afraid of that either. You know, don't just go along, because you're not going to be alone. You're not going to do it. You don't have to do this completely alone. The inner self works with you, and then you meet people along the way. I met people that helped me with my second book. A wonderful friend from US, Pamela, and I'm still grateful to you. She did editing for Where We Dream the Single Dream. You know, so you meet people along the way that are going to open doors for you and help you. You know, it's just there, but you have to start. It's like, I think Rumi said in one of his mystic poetry, he says, just start walking and the way appears. That's exactly how it is. That's exactly how it is, yeah? So I'll read you one other thing. It's some of you might be familiar with the mystic poet called Hafez. Sometimes he's called Hafez, yeah? And I'll tell you how he came across, how it started for him to be of service of the community. And there are many legends about him, apparently none that cannot be verified, but this is one of the more known legends, how it happened to him, how he had his union with the divine. My hair is a bit rock and roll today. Anyway, according to one tradition, before meeting his self-chosen Sufi master Hajji Zayn al-Attar, Hafez had been working in a bakery delivering bread to a wealthy quarter of the town. There he first saw Shakh-e Nabat, a woman of great beauty to whom some of his poems are addressed. Ravished by her beauty, but knowing that his love for her would not be requited, he allegedly held his first mystic vigil in his desire to realize this union. So he was in love with her, you know. So that's how it all started for him. Usually, that's for quite a few of us. It starts by this way. We kind of fall in love with someone, and then something happens. We have this. Instead of having a physical union with that person, we manage to have a mystical union with our inner self, and then the whole life changes. Yeah. So he encountered a being of surprising beauty who identified himself as an angel, and his further attempts at union became mystic, a pursuit of spiritual union with the divine. That's it. And from then on, really, Hafez wrote poetry, started to help others to have this mystic union with the divine, not a real physical union with another human being. Now, I know that this is not very popular. A lot of people are lonely. They don't want to just have a mystic union. They want to have a physical union, or, you know, to have a friend, to have a lover, to have a companion in life. They don't want to be alone. That's just normal. If this is what you really, really want, if once you have established this mystic union with your inner divine, with your inner self, it will help you to find the right person. Not just another person, but the right person for you. A person that has at least similar values to yourself, so that you're not going to have to go through a heartache again like you did in previous relationships. There are many examples. I've wrote about this in my book, Where We Dream the Single Dream, where I fell, for instance, for someone, but my dreams were telling me, you know, be careful, this is not the right thing for you. But I went ahead anyway. And then the dream started to come thick and fast that, you know, yes, you will be in this relationship for so long, but eventually you will leave. And that's exactly how it happened. That's exactly how it happened. I'll give you one dream. I fell for this girl who ended up being my wife later. Yes, and even before we got married, this was just a few days after my, losing my head, if you like, to losing my heart. I had this dream. I'm walking over to with a group of people. that I knew from everyday life, to a church, to a door, opening to the front of the church, to the door of the church. And there sat an old woman at the church entrance, at the door, like you could say she was a homeless. So there's the feminine there. She is homeless, she's outside the church, not inside. That's my intuition, homeless. And she said to me, now you're going to be in prison for 3 years. And that's exactly what it is. That's exactly how it was. I got married and so on, and I started a business. We worked together. 3 years, it was like that. I had no contact with the feminine again, from my intuition, from my inner self. I didn't really cultivate the contact with my inner self, with my divine anymore. My whole life was dedicated to outside pursuits and chasing money. We needed to have a home and furniture and pay bills and so on. So that's what it means. That's what it means when you get help from your inner self, and it says, and you go against it. I've gone against it so many times, but eventually, I had also dreams that were saying, it is going to be okay, but you have to go through this period, because that's what I've chosen. I didn't have to go through it, but that's what I've chosen to do, because I wanted to experience this. And eventually, of course, I walked away because she needed to have her own life, and mine was going in a completely different direction, in this direction of helping you, writing my books, doing the videos, so that you too can have your own connection to your inner self, guidance from within you, from the divine path that can help you to choose the right path for you in life, rather than one that is chosen for you by circumstances or by society. That's perhaps a better way of saying it. If you don't listen to your inner self, to your dreams and visions, and especially intuition or your poetry, a path will be chosen for you from society. You will fall into doing what society asks of you to do. Get a job, earn money, maybe become famous, have kids or whatnot, which is fine. But there is something, if you make that connection, and if you make that, it becomes part of your everyday life, it will be asking you to help the community to heal others. And the only way we can heal is by being whole, by finding this mystic union with a divine self, like Hafez or Hafez. Yeah. So the real healing in you, in me, in the whole of society is by reconnecting, or by mystically having the mystic wedding with the divine, with your inner self. And then once you do that, you can go and with your inner partner, with your inner self, into the world, and there will be a path given to you of depending on your talents and depending on your gifts, what you can do to help others to do the same. But if you still prefer to have a partner in your life, that's okay too. But then it will come to you from your inner self, from your dreams and visions and intuitive. You will know whether the partner that you have fallen for, like myself, is the right one for you. It will at least it will give you the instructions to say, well, this person has similar values to yourself. Because in society, it's often said that opposites attract. And the way we understand this is that, if you find someone that is opposite to you, you're going to be whole. That's really a psychological meaning. That is to say, if you find the opposite within you, then you become whole. But if you find opposite in society, someone that is not like you, it's a life of drudgery. It's very difficult. I often say, in society, at least if you're not looking for your inner, to heal yourself, to create a union with your inner self, but with another person, and the other person is the opposite to you, I say the opposites tear each other apart, because one will not understand the other. If you're, for instance, like me, introvert, a person that is has perhaps more connection to the inner life than to the outside life, you can't have an extrovert. It does not work. They will not understand you. You might try to, like I did, for a while, to do because you want to be together with the other person. So you want to do the right thing, and you want to, you love them, and so you want to, create a situation where the two of you agree. But if the other person does not have similar values to you, does not value your delicate values of your soul, it's not going to work. Anyway, so the topic of today's talk, let me have a look at the time. Okay, the topic of today's talk is, once you get over all this bumps in the roads, if you like, and choosing the person that is perhaps not right for you, and then eventually you get disappointed, like Hafez got disappointed, because this little legend that is described here, I'm reading from Wikipedia, it doesn't go into detail. There are other ones that go into detail. He was very disappointed that she would not replicate, she would not give him back the same affection that he gives to her, because she was from a higher society elite and he was just a bread delivery boy. So he was broken by all this. And then when he it's the brokenness, it's the disappointment in life. Where you remember me talking about this when Peter Kingsley says, you might be lucky once in your life when you go to the left, it's hell. When you go to the right, it's hell. When you go backward, it's hell. And when you go forward, it's utter hell. That is to say, once you start to have this deeper conversation with the inner self, a situation in life might be created for you where you have nowhere else to go but inward. And then once you go inward, you find this guidance that has always been there, steering you on the way. You might have even created this situation where you have no way to get out from what. It's created the situation where you have nowhere to go in the outside world. But wherever you go, it's going to be a disappointment. The only way is to go inward. And then once you create that relationship again with the inner self, you get a whole new lease on life, a whole new direction in life is given to you, so that you can be of help to community, not just merely exist like most of us do, just to raise up a family and get into debt and build a home and then another home and then update our devices, phones, cameras, cars, and go on holidays. That's fine, but there is a deeper meaning. There's a deeper meaning to our lives, really, as humans. We have this ability to connect to the divine, but not only connect, but experience this connection in such a way that you can teach others to do the same and heal people. Like the shamans, like many shamans of old, like for instance the story of Black Elk. Some of you might know of Black Elk. He was a Sioux holy man, and at the age of 9 he had his first vision and so on. He returned and he ended up being, the path for him was chosen so he could help his tribe to transition from being a hunter based tribe to being more planting plants and so on, because the white people were destroying not only stealing the Indian land and killing Indians, but they were also deliberately destroying the animals, the bisons, on which the the clothing, the teepee, the building of the tents, everything was dependent on the hides and the meat of the bison. They had to transition, and he had this vision. He was able then to help his community to transition. Yeah, there are lots of examples like this. We don't have the story of Jesus how he transitions and how he had his instructions to be of help to others. But we know that when he came to John the Baptist to be baptized, he realized that he didn't experience, this wasn't enough, to come to the greatest spiritual teacher of the time and to look for answers. So he went past John the Baptist, he went into the desert. There he fought of the ego, the survival instincts that are symbolized by the devil. And only when he had we don't know what the vision was. There's no record. Jesus doesn't speak about it. But when he returned from the desert, that's when he started his career of helping others to experience what he experienced. To say that you too are divine. There is this mystic union, there's this spirit within you, the soul thing, this divine part with which if you connect, it will be your partner for the rest of your life. And that's what he taught in his private teachings, because people were not ready to hear this, especially in his time, where only the religion, the Jewish religion was the official religion. If you went outside of that, you were thrown out, cancelled, or murdered, like he was later, for speaking out and saying that, whoever sees me sees the Father. You are divine. There are lots of examples like this when they're given the instrument. For instance, I'll give you another one. I was just thinking, Einstein, for instance. Einstein, he had his revelations about the nature of the universe. And he had his revelation that E equals mc squared. Energy equals mass. Yeah? It was, in other words, spirit is matter. That's what this formula really means of relativity. Spirit is relative to matter. There's no division. The two are combined. There's wholeness everywhere. One is the other, and the other is the one. Spirit is this, is you, and you are spirit. In other words, or every atom is full of spirit, or the spirit is an atom. In other words, the whole universe is like this. This energy consciousness. It was after this experience that Einstein became a source of working for the community. He had this experience, he had this vision, he had this formula, and that's when it started. That's when he started his public career. Not before. After that, he started his work in the community to help the community from his new relationship to the spirit, to the inner divine. Yeah, there are lots of examples like this. Give you another one. Maria Gimbutas, the famous Lithuanian-American archaeologist. She's actually famous for archaeomythology. That is to say, oh, my phone again, it froze. Anyway, she's famous for archaeomythology, and archaeomythology means archaeology together with mythology. And how does that work? Is that she when she discovered the figurines of the early Neolithic of the goddess, which she called the goddess, the feminine, she didn't just dig up to these artifacts, this archaeology, to understand how people lived, what they ate, where they lived, what they dressed, but she understood, she combined it with mythology, with the spiritual part of us. That is to say, the structure of the human psyche. And she understood that these figures are not merely toys, like they're called, or Venuses, something, a fetish. A fetish, there's something to do with fertility, but there were actually deeper meaning, the religious meaning, spiritual meaning, that they represented the inner divine part of humanity, you see. And then after she discovered this, she started her public career. And of course, once you go against the grain of the narrative, and once you go against the grain of the conservative archaeology, if you like, she was being cancelled deliberately, but her work remains. She made that discovery. She helped to heal the split between the humanity and the missing divine feminine. Yeah. So there's another example of this. When you finally have your own discovery, she didn't have dreams or visions, but she had her intuition, and that helped her to realize that there's a deeper connection, much more important than just what these people in the Neolithic, what she called Old Europe, what they ate, how they dressed, and how many kids they had, and how the houses looked like, and all that. She went deeper to the level of the collective unconscious, to the level of mythology. There's the structure of human psyche that is common to all of humanity. That there is this feminine in there, this part that is missing, the intuitive mind. They were worshipping the intuitive mind. That is to say, the intuitive mind flies above everything. He sees the whole. So there's interconnectedness of everything. That the divine is not separate, but is interconnected, and it's part of everything. Like what Einstein experienced, energy equals matter. Later, once the organized religions came into culture, in society, that's how we got the split. The divine was put out there somewhere separate in the sky, in another universe, and here on earth was just matter, just us, we're not divine, we are not. And then later, of course, that's the Old Testament, and later the New Testament is that you have to worship Jesus. You can't be Jesus, you can't be like Jesus, you have to worship Jesus. And if you don't, you are excommunicated, killed in many cases. That's, we got the witch burnings for 5 centuries and so on. It's because women knew intuitively that they were worshipping the deity on their own. They didn't need the church to mediate, and the deity wasn't separate somewhere else. They were worshipping the earth religion. Everything is sacred. Everything is divine. Yeah. Anyway, that's what I wanted to talk to you today about. Camera froze again. Looks like I might have to invest in another camera or something, because this is not nice for you, obviously. You can still hear me, but you can't see me. Anyway, that's what I wanted to talk to you about today, and I'll see you on the next one.